Hey guys, Chaps here, and welcome back to another Chromebook review. Today we are taking a look at the Acer Spin 713 3W. That's the 2021 model. This retails for $699, but you can often find it on sale for in the mid $500 range. I actually got mine from Best Buy in open box excellent condition for $434 during one of the recent sales. And let me just say, open box excellent condition really is excellent. It's like new. I've said it before, I will say it again. If you can find something in open box excellent condition, it might be worth doing. It can save you a few $100. So in our last video, I took a look at the 2020 version of this machine, and man, Acer really took some nice steps forward with this model. I'm working on a comparison between the two now, so make sure you subscribe and catch that when it releases. In the meantime, let's look at some stats. Most versions of the Spin 713 that you'll find come with an 11th gen Intel i5 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, and a 256GB NVMe solid-state drive. I probably don't need to tell you this, but that is more than adequate for a Chromebook. That Tiger Lake i5 is going to chew up anything you throw at it. And with a 256GB solid-state drive, combined with Google Drive and an SD card slot, and yeah, you're pretty well covered. It's 0.67 inches thick, 9.3 inches deep, and 11.8 inches wide, coming in at 3.2 pounds. So it's not that big. It's a little more square than most Chromebooks, but it's also still pretty lightweight. A big talking point of the Spin 713 has always been the screen, and it's keeping with that 13.5-inch 3:2 aspect ratio. We're going to hit more on that shortly. As with most Chromebooks, this features a 45-watt charger, and yeah, it's the type with the power brick in the middle. I wish we could start avoiding that. But anyways, there's also a 720p webcam. There's no fingerprint sensor, unfortunately, and there's no docked pen. I will note that it does support USI pens, and interestingly, some of the newer models are starting to ship with fingerprint readers, and yeah, I'm kinda jealous of that. On the right side of the device, you'll find the power button, a full-size USB-A port, a microSD card slot, and the volume rocker. Flipping over to the left, you're going to find two USB-C ports, which are both Thunderbolt 4 capable by the way, a full-size HDMI port, and a headphone jack. It has all of the same ports as last year with the upgrade to Thunderbolt 4, but I'm kind of baffled as to why they put both USB-C ports on the same side. I would have much preferred it if they kept them on opposite sides. While that's a slight negative in my mind, they more than make up for it with the change in build quality. There seems to be more aluminum, the seams are super smooth and clean, and overall it just feels really well built. I honestly feel like the Asus CX5 and the HP X360 may have better build quality actually, but this one is more than acceptable to me. Well, I guess there's one part I don't like, and that's the ErgoLift. Again, I have no problems with ErgoLift, but these tabs are a killer. In fact, I've already had one of them break off after only a week of use. I slid it across my lap the other day, and it just broke off. The other one is still on there solidly, so maybe that one tab was just a fluke on my machine, but it's certainly something that I would be wary of. I do want to note though that even without it on there, it still functions just fine. I don't even notice that it's missing. While we're opening it here, let's take a look at these hinges. We've got that nice one finger open. There's a magnet holding it shut, but honestly it's pretty weak. It does its job, but I would have preferred a bit more strength in there. The hinges themselves are super smooth, and it makes for that really nice one finger open. If we keep folding it back, we can get into tent mode, not really much of note here, and then taking it further we enter tablet mode. Of all of the Chromebooks that I've tried, this is up there as one of my favorites to hold as a tablet. It's still a bit big, but it works nicely, and due to the aspect ratio, we can actually hold it vertically or horizontally, and it doesn't really feel too uncomfortable. Also, due to the chassis redesign for the 3W, the magnet that holds it shut in clamshell mode now somewhat helps it in tablet mode. It eliminates that rattle that we get in some of the other devices. Again, I wish the magnet was a tad stronger, but it gets the job done. Taking a look at the screen, we get to one of the big selling points of this device. To start with, the 2256 by 1504 pixel array on a 13.5-inch screen makes it slightly higher than 2K resolution. Combine this with over 400, almost 450 nits of brightness, and it's truly impressive. To top it off, we've got all of this in a 3:2 aspect ratio. It makes the screen feel slightly, and I mean very slightly smaller when watching videos. But for most daily use, like on spreadsheets or for surfing the web, the additional height really pays off. It's something that I didn't really feel was all that special, and at first it felt kinda strange. But after using it for a few days, going back to anything else just feels wrong. Needless to say, the hype for this screen is real, and it truly delivers. The one aspect of the screen that I do need to criticize though is the cursor. By default, the cursor is too big. Like, it may not seem too bad in this picture, but believe me, it's pretty noticeable when you're using it, and it's sort of uncomfortably big. To make things worse, if you change the scale in settings, it shrinks dramatically. You can adjust the screen resolution pretty finely, but the cursor size only has 2 settings. If the screen is over 100%, the cursor is too big. If the screen is less than 100%, the cursor is too small. It's unfortunate, but I've learned to live with it at 90%, and I probably won't think twice about it again in the future. Now, if these visuals are the Spin 713's superpower, then the speakers are its kryptonite. All of the research that I've done and every review that I've read talks about how bad these are, and yeah, they're bad. But not as bad as everyone makes them out to be. I'm no audiophile, but they sound passable, I guess I'll say. They're downward firing, which is unfortunate, and they don't get super loud. They're good enough for me to watch YouTube or casually watch Netflix, and I may even try to use them to play music in the background when I'm doing some work. But if I really want to pay attention to music or watch a movie where sound matters, I won't be using these speakers. Luckily, there's plenty of Bluetooth devices out there that you can use to connect it to, or you can just use the headphone jack. Again, they're bad, but they're livable. Flipping it back open again, we see the keyboard. This was an issue I had with the 2020 model, and I really like the improvements that they have here. The keys still have a bit of rattle to them and aren't nearly as nice as some of the other Chromebooks that I've tested, but I still feel that this one is good enough. It's not top quality, and I wouldn't want this in a super premium Chromebook, but for a semi-premium Chromebook, I think this is perfectly acceptable. The trackpad is the same as last year's, and that's not a bad thing. I typically don't like Chromebook trackpads at all, but the Spin 713 has been the best of the bunch. The 3:2 aspect ratio on the screen allows for a taller trackpad. I just feel that a taller trackpad is more comfortable to use. It's also a super smooth and responsive Gorilla Glass pad, and the clicking mechanism is solid. So far everything sounds pretty good, right? Well, unfortunately the battery and the fan leave a bit to be desired. The battery is slightly bigger than last year, but the power-hungry i5 processor and the fan drain that battery a little bit faster. I haven't done a full drain yet to see how long it lasts, but I'm guessing it's around 8-ish hours. It's not low enough that it will cause issues for me, or probably won't cause issues for most people, but it's certainly draining noticeably faster than some of the other devices that I've tested. As I mentioned, part of this is due to the fan. It's not actually too bad, but I have had it kick on more than the 2020 device. It's not on constantly like the Asus CX5, and it's not usually too noticeable when it is on, but it does come on, and that drains the battery. So with all of this said, what are my takeaways? Well, for the good we have the screen, the trackpad, the port variety, and the internals. I mean, you're not going to beat these internals at this price point. For the negatives, we have the speakers, and, well, I guess that's really the only strong negative. Instead, let's look at some of the not ideals. There's the battery and the fan, the keyboard rattles a little bit, and the fact that both the USB-C ports are on the same side, and I guess I have to throw in the ErgoLift tabs as well. But honestly, if that's all I'm coming up with as negatives for this, then this thing clearly seems like a winner. The positives more than outweigh the negatives here. At $699 MSRP, it's not the cheapest Chromebook. But as I said earlier, with some of the specs that you're getting, it's actually not that bad of a deal. I'd personally wait for one of the many sales it seems to have, or possibly look for some of the open box models like I did. But if you just can't wait, this is actually one of the few Chromebooks that I've reviewed that I think is probably worth it at its full price. What do you guys think of this conclusion? Is there another Chromebook in this price range that you think could compete and be a better value than this one? If you made it this far into the video, thanks for tuning in, and please consider subscribing for more content, and go ahead and drop this a like if you enjoyed it or if it helped you out. As I mentioned, I'll be doing a comparison video between this, the 713 3W, and last year's 713 2W. That should come out in the following days. And I also plan to discuss my approach in narrowing down my top picks for premium Chromebooks this holiday season. For non-Chromebook stuff, I've got some woodworking projects planned, and for gaming content, you can check out our main channel. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will catch you next time.